Peter Panessy is a good guy who writes for Fansided, had an article out this week, and he had the 4 49ers that he thinks potentially are the most likely to be traded this draft season, like during the draft.
Okay.
And none of them are Trey Lance, but one of them on the list, since we're talking running back, is Elijah
Like
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Yeah.
And his reasoning, I mean, Elijah Mitchell had 963 yards his rookie year. He played 11 games in 2011. He played only 5 games this last year. And this is a loaded draft with a lot of good backs. And there might be a team out there that would look at Elijah Mitchell and say, you know what? Yeah, we like what we've seen from Elijah Mitchell. We'll give you a pick for Elijah Mitchell. And it may be just a way to save a few bucks and turn over the roster at running back and also invest in the guys you like this year. It seems like Shanahan keeps turning over his backs. What do you think of that one? Elijah Mitchell being moved.
It's funny. I was talking to my friend John Chapman. We did a couple of shows this week, and he brought that up as well. He brought that if Kyle was willing to go with another running back, Elijah Mitchell can be expendable. You can get something for it. I mean, what was he, a 6th round picks?
Yeah,
And you
out
probably
of
could,
Louisiana.
yeah, you go for Louisiana State, and you probably can flip it, right? The Raging Cajuns. You can probably flip them into a 5th, 4th rounder. We don't have a 4th rounder this year. What if you get a 4th round pick on Elijah Mitchell on draft day, and you move on, and then you draft one of these running backs that we're talking about, right? And so this is something that can possibly go down, guys. Let's not act like the 49ers won't trade players. They will get rid of players before the draft, on the draft. They usually don't trade players during the season. That we do know. That's their trend, but they will trade before the season. And when you look at Elijah Mitchell, you mean like, dang, he had a really productive rookie season. He was the bell cow, and then his sophomore season, he just couldn't shake the injuries. And, unfortunately, once you become injury plagued, I guess I would say, especially for a running back, they need their knees. And once those knees kind of start like going and bucking on you, you might want to move on from it. And Bill Walsh was great at moving on from players before their time was up. So it's a possibility that he could be the expendable piece. It would suck because I really wanted him to, get back under the wraps for another season, but it's going to be hard work. Christian McCaffrey is one. Elijah Mitchell should be sitting at 2 if healthy. And it's funny, we don't talk about his health. And it's crazy, Larry, that I'm walking into Lincoln Financial Field and I get the alert, Larry, that he is inactive and I smack somebody because I was like, you
When
know,
I want to see some JP Mason. I still have belief
time.
in TDP.
Yeah.
So as much as I like Elijah because he doesn't fumble and he can run between the tackles, his style and his durability long term do not jive. I mean, he's a guy who doesn't fumble, but he runs between the tackles, and he's not the biggest bodied guy. So I mean, I really like him, and I love it. I love his dependability, but I could see him being attractive to somebody, and I think he would make sense to move. Now, here are the other names that Peter Panessy threw out. These are interesting. Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas is 24, Breezy. He played only 41 defensive snaps in 2022. He was a 3rd round pick. There was a lot of talk that Adam Peters pounded the table for Ambry Thomas. What do you do with Ambry Thomas? What do you make of the regression? That guy looked good at the end of the year 2 years ago. This year, he was solely a special team player, almost had a total non-factor from scrimmage. What would you do with Ambry Thomas? To me, that's the guy that I could see being value because he still has good size, good measurables. He's not old. He's not hurt. There should be some team that had a good grade on him coming out of Michigan that would probably give you a day 3 pick. There's a lot of value in corners, but I would definitely look to move him because it just isn't happening here.
It's funny that you brought that up because I feel like Ambry Thomas is one of those pieces that might not get traded because they might lowball the 49ers. I mean, you
Yeah.
just upgraded his value. You told me how much he could do potentially. I mean, he at the end of his rookie season was phenomenal, and then he couldn't stay healthy last year either. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about the injuries, but the one thing I'm learning from Kyle Shanahan is you can lose your job due to an injury, and it's hard as hell to get it back, right? So it's not like it's an easy task. And with these other younger quarterbacks, I mean cornerbacks, I want to see Samuel Womack be better. I want to see these younger guys, the Quantrez Knights and all these guys. Like, will they get a chance? So Ambry unfortunately has an uphill battle to climb. It's a possibility if he's not traded though, that he's cut.
You're totally right. You're absolutely right. They may draft him off the roster, as they
Isn't that
say.
crazy?
How about Trevon Kinlaw? Panasy's got Kinlaw here. Former first round pick. He's not going to have his 5th-year option picked up. He only played 10 games total in the last 2 seasons combined. What do you think? They bring Kinlaw back? Do they move him on draft day? There's definitely teams in the league that would take him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to what a team is willing to give up for Javon Kinlaw. I think the 49ers have a price and they're set on it. And if you come in there with the low ball, I think the 49ers are prepared to go into the season with Javon Kinlaw. I mean, if you look at him, he's looking good. He's looking a lot leaner, but none of that matters until he gets on the football field and gets some wear and tear on his body and things like that. But I think the 49ers want to keep that defensive tackle rotation fresh. I know they spent a lot of money on Javon Hargrave, but why not keep fresher pieces and keep that rotation good to go? So I think the 49ers are going to be prepared to keep him. I don't think they're going to move on from him, but if a team makes you an offer, you can't refuse it. I mean, it's not going to be, you're not going to get a first round pick, guys, but if they feel like they can get something of a value to where they can draft something next year or this, they may possibly move on, but I just don't think that's what the 49ers have in their plans. I think they're going to keep him for his last year.
And Peter Pan, do you know Peter at all? Peter
I've never
Panassi?
met Peter. No.
Yeah, I was on a live stream with him, or maybe I did an interview with him on something he was doing earlier this year. And he's a real good Niner content creator, and he's got this up today. The 4 Niner players that would be traded, and he's got Ambry Thomas,
I like
Javon Kinlaw, Elijah Mitchell. Now I can see as we just went through it, I can see all 3 of those guys. The 4th guy he's got here, I will guarantee you,
You better
this
not be
guy will.
Brandon Ayuk.
No.
Okay.
He's going with Marcelino McCrary-Ball. And
Nah.
I will say right now, there is 0% chance that Marcelino McCrary-Ball gets traded. And
No.
his theory is that, with Demetrius Flanagan-Foles and Oren Burks and so on and so forth, that those guys being there will prevent, Marcelino from getting an opportunity. I think Marcelino is the guy that they have circled, X'd, highlighted as the replacement for Azeez Al-Shaair. He's not going anywhere. Not only that, his value is going to skyrocket. I'll put it down right here for you. On April the 5th of 2023, we're before the draft, we're before minicamp, we're before training camp, and obviously the cut down date before preseason. Marcelino McCrary-Ball will make the team. He'll be an outstanding 49er defensive player. And if there was an injury to Greenlaw or to Warner, Marcelino McCrary-Ball will play from scrimmage. And when he gets out there, he's going to show the world that guy is a baller. And I watched college football. He was terrific in college football. He played corner. He transitioned to safety. He's now moved to kind of like a hybrid linebacker, safety, weak side backer, special teamer. Breezy, this guy's the chart. I mean, he's just going up. McCrary-Ball has a bright, bright future.
Very bright. I don't see the 49ers moving on from a guy that they could have offered a future contract to, and they didn't. They chose to sign him on a 1-year deal, right? And so when you look at all those other guys on those future contracts, you're saying to myself, wow, like what has this kid done? And it's his ability to be versatile. These are the type of players that they're looking for, those hybrid guys. I mean, there's a guy right now, I believe a prospect that they're looking at from Sacramento State who's also a hybrid guy, could play special.
Marte Mapu,
There it
yeah.
is,
I'm a Sac
right?
State guy, Breezy.
Oh, there
I
you
went to
go.
Sac State. There you go. Hornets, Stingers up.
So listen, these are the players that they're looking for, and you got to remember, man, from their first experience. I mean, look at Fred Warner. What was Fred Warner? He was a safety in college, and he became a phenomenal linebacker. So you got a linebacker with ball hawking skills, and this is what they do. I do like Marcelino McCrary-Ball. I do think he's undersized a little bit,
He
but
is.
listen, I think he's going to go out there and ball out, and he's going to earn his job on special teams. And I think, unfortunately, I feel like. I don't want to say this, but I feel like there's going to be some guys that are going to be upset because he's going to beat them out. And one of those guys are DFF. Like, I think DFF gets beat out by this young kid. I really do.
DFS a great special teamer, but
Great
this
special teamer.
kid is legit. And I did an interview with him. You can see it on my channel on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, why'd you come here, man? There's Dre and there's Aziz and there's Warner and there's like no room at the inn. You know what I mean? What are you doing here? And he's like, man, those guys are lions, and I'm a lion. I want to run with them, and I'm going to prove that I got what they got. And it was like I saw that interview, and I'm like, this guy's going to be freaking awesome. And of course, he looked great in the preseason.